Hello and welcome to a volcano, and also another Just Flying episode starting on a volcano. Mount Tarawera to be precise, just too far from Rotorua in New Zealand, and I think that's where we'll head for today. We've just got a dirt runway. That's a reasonable length, so there shouldn't be any problems for an islander. Yeah, I'm thinking chances are those people on the summit by where we took off. I'm guessing they came from Rotorua. No idea, but with that being a large enough city, tourists passing through, there's a good chance I would have thought that you can book a Mount Tarawera tours from there. But, anyway, experiment time. And I've got myself a copy of that lossless scaling thing from Steam. It's fairly cheap anyway, and at the moment there's the Steam summer sale on, so it's even cheaper. I thought it was worth a try to see what it was like. And with one of the settings it has, you can display the numbers on your screen to tell you what your frames per second were and what they are with the lossless scaling running. Now with the before numbers, they do pretty much match what X-Plane is doing if you call up the X-Plane data output frames per second thing. And if I go somewhere else with better or worse frames, the lossless scaling numbers change accordingly, so I'm happy it is applying itself to X-Plane, and the numbers are telling me my frame rates have pretty much doubled. However, I very rarely look at my frames per second numbers, as the actual number makes no difference at all in my opinion. It's all about the experience and does the sim run at acceptable levels for smoothness and what's happening on the screen. So now while lossless scaling says that it's doubled my frame rates, I must say that I'm not really noticing any difference at all in my experience. Maybe I need to read the manual and test a few settings, and possibly things do get better, or at least become noticeable, but nothing at the moment at all, good or bad. Although it was worth a try for a relatively cheap price, so I'm not going to complain about that. So in the last video then, I suppose I should mention it, the final rugby score from Dunedin was New Zealand 16, England 15. But as home advantage is worth at least 2 points, that means England won by 1. Morally, that is the only conclusion you can come to from that. So hopefully you Kiwis can do a bit better next time. Anyway, with other sports though, it's Sunday evening recording this, just after the latest Formula 1 Grand Prix, won by Lewis Hamilton of Great Britain, which does grate on me. Mainly the fact that he chooses to live in Monaco, where he doesn't have to pay tax. I mean, not him, there's lots of people, lots of different countries who choose not to contribute. It's one of the things I'd love to see happen. It never will, but I'd love to see it. Is a little worldwide agreement with every country on the planet, where if you hold a passport for a country, you pay tax to that country no matter where you live. If you're eligible for 2 or more different nationalities, I'll let you pick your favourite, but you are going to pay tax to one of those countries. In the case of Lewis Hamilton, pay your tax in the UK and contribute the same as everybody else has to, But if you don't, you're having your passport revoked and you're no longer a British citizen. If you then decide to continue not paying and hand in your British passport and become a citizen of the tax haven of Monaco or something like that, cool, can't stop you doing that. But holy shit, you just wait and see all the hoops I'm going to make you go through to get a visa to go to the Silverstone racetrack and race your car. And that's another law which is never going to happen either, but I'd love it if that was the case. When we've just had a general election here in the UK, we've got a new Prime Minister. Now let's see how he does, because the last few have run the country into the ground. They've made personal millions while the general populace has suffered. So my other new law, let's introduce consequences. Now, every outgoing Prime Minister, President or whatever your country has, for 6 months they live on the same benefits, safeguards, government payouts, etc. that their government gives to disabled people, followed by another 6 months living as a pensioner. Very strictly monitored, very strictly controlled, so that the only income they have for that last 6 months is their state pension. The same one that they decided was perfectly acceptable for a genuine pensioner to live on. Yeah, consequences for your actions when you had a chance to change things. And okay, probably make absolutely no difference at all to the lying, cheating little shits that are, the Conservative Party government we've had here for the last few years, but you never know. Right then, we have been tracking slightly away from Rotorua, as on the Explain Moving map it shows the icons for all my Traffic Global aircraft that are flying. There's one of them just out there ahead of us somewhere. The icon, in this country an icon of that size on the map usually denotes an Air New Zealand ATR. We were both going to get onto finals at about the same point, and as the ATR is going to be a bit quicker with its approach speeds, I've given that guy enough room to go first. Can't see him out the window, but never mind. So he'll get there first now, and if I slow down a bit too, then yeah, fingers crossed he should be landing and off the runway before we get there. I'll probably still land anyway, even if he is still on the runway, but let's at least try not to have an horrific accident. Rotorua, which does have an aroma, should we say, sulphurous gas from the subterranean thermal vents, which can be quite noticeable. Probably not as bad of an aroma as what I imagine Donald Trump smells like, but it's certainly noticeable at Rotorua. You kind of get used to it after a couple of hours, although I am talking about the city again here. Okay, it can be affected a little bit by weather, temperature, etc., but the geothermal activity is fairly constant. Donald Trump, I'm going to imagine he just keeps getting worse the longer the day goes on. Although day, singular. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if washing, taking a shower, etc. Yeah, if personal hygiene wasn't a daily activity for Donald Trump, I'm not going to be hugely surprised. Okay, so that ATR isn't landing on the map. He's just passed by the airfield, so he's on a go-around for some reason, maybe. At least we're not going to have a runway accident now then, so that's okay. Yep, clear to land. Just thinking out loud, the map doesn't display altitudes for AI aircraft, so I suppose somewhere like Napier, Taupo, do those line up so you'd pass very close to here on your way to Taranga? It could be that he was never on final approach, it was just overflying, but yeah, whatever the reason, is yeah, not a problem for us anymore. Yeah, an original airport by a person called Vampire. Vampire with some letters or numbers after it, like a Vampire 123 or something like that. I can't remember off the top of my head exactly what it was. But yeah, it is his original airport with all his custom buildings and stuff. Now, I did send him a message and he gave me permission to effectively take it over, and this was back in X-Plane 11. So that I could add a few buildings, trees, etc. to the surrounding areas. Not really been altered since we got X-Plane 12, but it's still a nice enough place. I can see a few little gaps in the houses in there. Yeah, I could probably do with a little tweak and a bring it up to speed again for X-Plane 12. But, yeah, one day, maybe. It's still a nice enough airport anyway. Let's see how we do. Try and get down fairly close to the threshold so that we're stopped in plenty of time before the turn off to the apron. Don't think that'll be too much of a problem with this plane, so should be okay. We're down. Yeah, not brilliant. That actually felt like I was just about to fly the aircraft into the floor, so I pulled back on the stick, but did so a little bit much, and then just flew it into the ground the second time. So yeah, I postponed the heavy landing rather than did anything. Yeah, never mind. Yeah, we'll go and park up. Just thinking, because you can smell all the sulphurous gases here. Wonder, has anybody ever looked at it? Because humans don't run on sulphur, do we? So the amount, if you lived in Rotorua, the amount that you're breathing in daily, you know, over the course of a normal human lifespan, is it going to be nowhere near enough to actually have any effect on you, or does breathing in sulphur, you know, would it do something negative to your body? Don't know if somebody's ever bothered looking at that. I'm assuming somebody probably has, but never mind. Let's swing around to our left, and that will do. Cool, we made it. So, volcano, lossless scaling, Lewis Hamilton as a twat, politicians are even bigger twats, sulphur, mysterious AI go-arounds, and Rotorua. And Donald Trump as well. Yeah, that journey certainly went on a few tangents, didn't it? But at least England won by 1 point, so that's all good. See you soon.